Hi Geography class, this is Mrs. Simons. Today we're going to give you a brief introduction to writing the hook. This can be one of the funnest parts of your paper because it gives you an opportunity to be a little bit more creative. So those of you that like creative writing, it's a little bit more creative. It lends to some storytelling or finding some funny or shocking statistics. So you can find this document in tab 5 of your binder. It is on page number 14, and I would like for you to take that out at this time and take notes as I am lecturing today. So you will notice that our introductory paragraph is composed of a hook, a transition, then our thesis sentence or our position statement, which we already have written, our roadmap sentence, which we already have written, and then a transition sentence, which will take us into the body of our paper. So here we have, again, our introduction. The introductory paragraph will have 4 parts, and what we're working on today is the hook. It is intended to grab the audience's attention. It gives the reader a purpose to kind of be engaged in what you're writing. And it should be only about 2 to 5 sentences. You don't want it to be much longer than that, or it's dominating the entire document. So no more than 5 sentences. I'd probably try to keep it between 2 and 3. And of course, it's going to be followed by a position statement, the roadmap, and then a transition that will take us to our first body paragraph. There are 5 different types of hook as listed on your handout. So we're going to go through each one of these and give you a little bit of information and look at some samples. So let's talk about the anecdote. So on your notes you can write an anecdote is a little story. It can be something that is humorous. It could be something that is serious and emotional. It can grab your heart. There's a variety of different types of anecdotes you can do, but it needs to be something that's a different kind of story, something that you wouldn't hear on a regular basis, something a little different. So I'm going to give you an example of an anecdote. I want you to go ahead and read this story, and then I will move on. So you can see this story is probably leading into a document or a research paper on illegal immigration. So this would be a proper way to start and engage the reader. The next type of hook is a shocking or surprising statistic. It can be something that's a little disgusting, something joyful, ironic, something very direct, something that again will grab the audience's attention, and this can be a quote or a statistic. So here's an example. Okay, so again, this is a way to start your paper. This would most likely be a paper on standing up and speaking out and being unified against people who are trying to tear others down. Here's a historical example. A historical hook is something that links the past with the present. So it's something from the past that has to do with your topic. Again, you don't want to mix this up with the historical background section. This shouldn't define terms or anything like that. It should be something different. Your hook should always be something different than is in the rest of the paper. I shouldn't see your hook also mentioned as one of your concrete details anywhere. But this is an example of how you can do that. So again, we have a quote from a historical document, and this document or this research paper is going to be for racial equality and the fight that continues, even present day. So it goes back to a very important historical court case that made things equal for whites and blacks. So this would be an example of a historical hook. Then you can have a headline angle. A headline angle takes something that is happening with the news and puts it with your paper. So it'd be a current issue that you've seen in the news, something that kind of relates and connects to your paper as well. So here's an example. So you'll notice that this is the current event that happened, and this person is linking it to their paper on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the deaths that occurred due to the atomic bombs. You will notice that this would be something like a transition statement. Oftentimes, you don't want to just go from your hook into your position statement. Oftentimes you need to bring in a transitional phrase or statement so that we can easily connect the two, so it won't be too choppy. You'll notice that all these do have citations as well, even though they don't look like the ones we normally do. They're a little different in their formatting, but you will usually cite a hook because it's coming from a source. Okay, the next one is a shocking or surprising quote or statistic. This is something that might be disgusting, joyful, ironic, something that kind of lends to making you shocked or surprised. So here is an example. And then we can have the celebrity angle. So celebrity angle is when you have a quote by someone that's like kind of in the news or someone in pop culture or about someone famous. So here is a celebrity angle that mentions J.K. Rowling. This is a little basic. I would probably go, this is not a bad website to go to, looktothestars.org. You can go there and you can take a look at some of those. So you're not going to add your hook quite yet. What I would like for you to do is be thinking of 3 different hooks that you could put into your paper. You don't have to write out the hook completely, but on a separate sheet of paper, I'd like you to take out a separate sheet of notebook paper, and I'd like you to write to your heading at the top, and on the top line write hook ideas, and I would like for you to brainstorm 3 different things that you would be able to use as a hook. So go back through your sources, maybe go to that website that I mentioned. This is looktothestars.org. You can put in your topic and see if there's anything applicable. Just be careful, make sure that it is applicable and that it is clear and does show your topic and what maybe a famous celebrity would say. I do have some other documents as well here that you can look at. I'm going to bring them up. You can read through them. And you can see some other examples. You can always come back to this later if you get stuck and look at some additional examples. But again, for your homework this evening, I'd like for you to write down 3 specific hooks that you could use in your paper. And you may have to do a little bit of research, but hopefully that you've come across either a statistic or a story or something in your research that you could put into here. And then go ahead and bring that to class tomorrow. So again, here are some examples if you wanted some additional things to look to. This is a paper on alternative energy. So I'll let you go ahead and just read through. This is again set up in MLA format. So the hook actually is right here. And then it kind of brings in this historical angle and Ford's idea of trying to find efficient uses of fuel. And then it goes into the counter argument and position statement. So that's an example of a historical angle. It's bringing something from history and bringing it into a comparison to your research paper. Here's another one about vaccinations. This would be an anecdote, a little story that would be emotional, that would pull you in. So again, this here is the hook. You'll notice in both of these examples that there is a citation. So this had to come from somewhere. So you do need to make sure that you have an in-text citation, and then you have your counter argument, and you have your position statement and roadmap sentence. So you can see how this will be structured and how you will be typing it when it's time to type your hook on Friday night. This is an example of a shocking or surprising quote. So go ahead and look at this. This is about tablets and textbooks. So again, here is your hook. Does have a citation, and you just need to put one citation at the very end of the hook on the last sentence. And then here is the counter argument with the position statement and the roadmap sentence. And then one last one. This is a statistic, a surprising or shocking statistic. This is also kind of a combination of a headline, because it is talking about something that will be placed on the ballot. So again, we have our hook with our citation. Here's our counter argument, our position statement, and then the roadmap sentence. So I hope you are able to look through those. One last thing I want to tell you before thinking about your hook: you are going to be revisiting your hook in your conclusion. You will come back to it and kind of address it again in a different way. So if you have a hook that kind of has a cliffhanger, like it's a little story, it's an anecdote that has a cliffhanger to it, you can kind of start the story, kind of leave the reader hanging, and then you can come back to it in the conclusion and let your reader know what happened. Some reminders. In your hook, do not ask your reader to imagine a scenario. Don't say, imagine this. It should be something that's real. Do not make up a hook out of your head. It needs to be a real story or shocking statistic that you found that you can cite. You will most likely, again, need to cite your hook. I'm asking that you do that. And you will most likely need a transition sentence between your hook and your position statement. So just be thinking about that. As for tomorrow, when you come in on Thursday, you need to make sure that you have your hook ideas, your brainstorms, what you could write for your hook brought to class. Then you will be typing this on Friday night and bringing in your typed document into class on Monday. Thank you, guys.